Well, hello, that's me again. Today's October 3rd, 2025, and it's kind of the sit-rap type thing I'm gonna be doing today. But we'll be focusing also a little bit on France and French attitude towards Russia and why it is all so funny. But before we go, everybody discusses now, obviously, the speech of Vladimir Putin at Valdai conference, and many people interpret it as the sort of olive branch. Well, I have to state immediately that Vladimir Putin always about olive branch. He's always about peace negotiations. He is always Cat Leopold, the guy who always says, guys, let's live in friendship, let's live peacefully. This is what primarily Russians do. Now, I want to address, not for the first time, I'm not going to be talking about this who or how, but I know it has been on my radar for the last couple of weeks, actually, that there is some, disagreement with Putin and he is about to face, the wrath of his circle, that he is not tough enough. It's all baloney. And this is clear for anybody who knows anything about how the power in Russia operates, and especially how Russian military operates, and why, as was repeated constantly by my friends who are senior officers on a very high level in the position it used to be in Ministry of Defense of Russian Federation, and from the get-go, I mean, with the good connections in the acting army today, and we're talking about level of brigades, divisions, and corps, that from the get-go, the idea behind special military operation by Vladimir Putin, by Security Council, by General Staff was, and Minister of Defense at that time, Sergei Shoigu, was let's untie us from calendar. This means literally, don't look at any dates. Do what you need to do. If you need to retreat, retreat. If you need to go in, go in. No rush. Just do it because it was the part of the larger strategy, which today actually, as you all know, reached its crescendo in sense that the West has been defeated. I spoke about this last time when Viktor Orban, well, just a few days back, openly stated, speaking of the major Hungarian TV stations, and that, yeah, it's over. The war is lost, and it's lost not just by Ukraine. Ukraine lost it a long time ago, because it is essentially, as I repeat ad nauseam, a virtual construct which is supported by the European and American money, but it is the defeat of the West. Now, as I already stated, also, as I stated non-stop, it's just a matter of how this will be arranged. Nobody cares what somebody says about here and there in Russia. Somebody may express dissatisfaction. We all do. There are many people who do not like me, for example, and I understand this. Everybody has their opinions, but Russia is already on the position when it drives now the final bargain, and that's what Vladimir Putin says. You know what? Yeah, if West wants to exist, hey, go right ahead. But you're not going to be allowed to conduct yourself as you did it in the previous 500 years. And much of it was colonialism, of course, wars, genocides, and things of this nature. And while speaking about it, that's while people continue to talk about this olive branch and peace offerings, which is fine. Russians always offer peace. Here is what, and I quote, Vladimir Putin, as reported by Russian information agency, news agency RIA, and here it is. And this is pretty much what you need to know about Russia's position. Here it is, yesterday, while he was talking to Valdai, that's what Vladimir Putin says. The European Union is a powerful civilizational center, but a declining one, Putin stated. The president noted that stagnation in the Union's economy has been observed for several years and will continue next year. Uncontrolled migration is eating away at the EU from within, Putin said. And finally, Europe will continue to shrink and fade, Putin said. I've been talking about it because I just, as many of people like me, we knew this already in 2010s, essentially. And the idea, this kind of use of Ukraine as a ram against Russia, and maybe with the ability to collapse, as they call Putin regime, they don't understand. It's not Putin's regime. Putin is just one of the biggest honchos there. But you know what? They have to be praying to God that actually they have Vladimir Putin, who is a reasonable one. But what can I say? So it is the fate of Europe. And all things which they do today, they have no what would be described as material technical foundation for the further development of civilization, because Europe has no resources and it is being deindustrialized with the accelerated rate. And as the result, well, I mean, people who really make decisions in Moscow, they know this, and Vladimir Putin exactly stated this. And that was supposed to be the pivotal thing he was talking about. And for some reason, it kind of escaped all that under this stupid, ridiculous talk about tomahawks, which Mr. Peskov stated, yeah, okay, they want another, spiraling of the conflict, sure, and yeah, but I don't think tomahawks will appear there in any way. But here is the issue. Talk about French. Oh, France, yeah, we know, those guys, they think they are absolutely irresistible. And it used to be great culture, and it used to be that, they thought about themselves as a great military power. But of course, Vladimir Putin, when speaking at Valdai, he quoted famous poem Borodino, and of course, this is just, yeah, Napoleon. Yeah, they love to talk about Napoleon. And if you look attentively at the French historiography, you will notice that somehow, this Napoleon's venturing into Russia, which was the force of the dozen of the European languages, that is to say, all of Europe actually invaded Russia in 1812 with the largest army at that time ever created in history. So, what can I say? The Russians didn't fight. Yeah, everything what happened there was because of Russian winter. Napoleon was so brilliant that he lost the army. But other than that, what a great, achievement. Sure. And then, of course, Russians enter Paris in 1814. And again, evidently, winter somehow didn't affect Russians. I don't know, it's just funny. But obviously, Mr. Macron, whose throne or whatever, their stool, John, is actually shaking underneath his whatever government, whatever the hell is happening in France now. He decided to play the tough guy, the Marine Royale, just go and take the, this tanker of the Shadow Fleet of Russia to show how, we're gonna also, go toe to toe with Russia. Yeah, sure. So, well, it all resulted as all this. It all went into the, basically, not with a bang, with a whimper. And as you can see yourself, as was reported, the tanker resumes voyage after French Navy raid. Maritime Tracker, a vessel linked by President Macron to drone sighting in Europe, has apparently been released. Well, I mean, it was released because what can they do? Well, yeah, he will pay now this damage, which was because of the time of the delay of this vessel with the load of oil. And first, if this continues, there are many people, make no mistake, there are many people who say that, oh yeah, why don't Russia just eradicate all of them? Can Russia sink a Marine Royale? Yes. Russian Navy can sink all of them. But the problem is, you don't do those things. I mean, there's no war. There is only posturing. Russians know that French are posturing. They still pretend for some reason that they are a great nation. They are not. I mean, with the exception of couple of the, as I state all the time, grand things which France does, such as, for example, Airbus. But then again, it's international consortium. France is not alone there. So, but other than that, I mean, what can they do? Okay, let's take a look at French military achievements in the last 70 years. Not great, to put it mildly. Constantly has their butt handed to them on pretty much across the board from the World War II and collaboration with Nazis. And of course in Vietnam, Bien Bien Phu and all other things, including the, well, being their butt handed to them in Sahel. And now we have this. It's, yeah, what can I say? This is a machine translation from this French site, which is Valeurs. And here we have a guy who, the head of the army, General Schill, no less. Okay, so to be ready at any time to commit and as early as tonight if necessary. This is the guy who runs the French army, which cannot win a war in like century almost. And so he talks about that ability to make strategic signals, tripling its firepower and depth, accelerating the role of flying and terrestrial robots. General Schill, head of the army, details his priorities for year 2025-2026 against the backdrop of the budgetary arbitrations on the coming weeks. So, okay, sure, well, what can I say? He's a French general, and we know it's not a good rank to be the French general, to put it mildly. And so he actually, well, he basically fountaineering with the ideas here, and here it is. And he is... on this occasion, this is the media outlet in France, Valeurs Actuelles, exclusively revealed this summer a complete armored brigade with its support will be deployed thousands of kilometers from France. That is to say, and here comes the funniest thing, 5,000 men in combat order. This maneuver marks the culmination of the first stage in the revival of the beating heart of the most powerful land forces in Europe. Oh my God, this is, well, I can tell you even today, Ukrainian army as it exists is much more powerful land force than French land forces. And of course, if they think that they can revive the most powerful land forces with the 5,000 personnel, and they call it complete ready combat brigade, those people are delusional. And so the guy, this Schill guy, is also delusional. And here, well, actually, he talks that the army general staff aims to take it up a new level by reconstituting all the support of a division, the large superior unit of the class of about 25,000 men. Let me put it this way. For the country such as France, if they are thinking about that they can put a division with all the support, I have news for them. And we'll talk about the numbers. In the real war, this division will not last for a week. Well, maybe 2 weeks. Okay, so, and... So they talk about it as if France can produce really good equipment. It can't. I mean, you probably already noticed that French, for some reason, are very averse, from sending the Leclerc tanks in the real battle, in, let's say, zone of the special military operation. All other NATO tanks failed there miserably, ranging from M1 Abrams to all kinds of Leopards to Challengers and things like that. French do not send it, because obviously they need to maintain this appearance that they are powerful. They are not. French army is a joke. Yeah, so is their table of organization and equipment. And the only thing which keeps France anywhere near, basically at the entrance door of the great powers, is the indigenous French nuclear deterrent. Period. Other than that, it's pathetic. And so, but he talks about this Mr. Schill, that to give an additional impetus to this logic, the boss of the Earthlings has initiated the recreation of artillery brigade, the Earthling of... It's machine translation, obviously ground forces. Artillery brigade, which now concentrates all the existing means of long-range fire support, multiple launcher units, and ground-to-air defense systems, and tactical drones that provide information on the objectives as far away as possible. Specialized means, Pierre Schill continues, which must imperatively be modernized and tripled in terms of the volume of launchers as well as ammunition. The fact is, we know that just basically Frankenstein wheeled hybrid of Caesar, which is the self-propelled gun of French, didn't do well. And generally speaking, when French talk about long-range fire support, do they even understand, like this General Schill, that actually France doesn't have that many technical means to provide this long-range fire support? And it will be United States is outranged and outmatched across the board by Russians. But when French say that, what do they try to provide fire support? I don't know. I mean, you look at this and you ask yourself a question, as I was asking it last time when we saw what was happening in Quantico and things of this nature. What the hell they are thinking about? I mean, nothing. they don't know what the real war is, and they still do not understand. The only thing which this Mr. Schill understands, that you need to have the, drones, to have the tactical awareness and situational awareness in the, well, let's put it this way, tactical the tactical rear zones of operations. Well, I have news for him. And we will talk about this. Now, the effectiveness of the, for example, Ukrainian drones dropped to about 2 to 4%. All those strike drones and those so-called recon drones, and they simply are no match. And they have the no match to Russian recon capabilities on the nearest tactical zone. Well, Russians have their very good situational awareness about operational rear, forget about tactical. But the point is, I don't know why he's trying to pretend that he can somehow create an army. France is not even in the same league, as I already stated, at the ground forces of Ukraine, which of course today is merely beginning, well, it's reduced to the essentially cannon fodder, nothing more. And here is the latest tally. If we take a look, and this is for today, this is the 3rd. As you can see yourself, this is, well, the slaughter continues. This time it dropped a little bit. But look at this, in red. Suddenly, UAVs, and we're talking about not those tactical UAVs, the small UAV drones. We're talking about the drones which can make inroads into the, operational rear of Russia and mostly strike the civilian targets. So, as you can see yourself, this is down to 70. This is a dramatic drop in all that, and there is a reason for that, because if you take a look at attentively what the Russians are doing to the industrial capabilities of Ukraine, which are being just basically destroyed. We also have, just to demonstrate to you that and this is Financial Times. Make no mistake, this is British tabloid. There are no smart people who work there. The only thing they do, they basically drink the Kool-Aid from the Ukrainian SOBs and from all kinds of the amateurs which are graduated from all those, privileged universities and, have some remote military service record. And so here it is. This is Financial Times. And even Financial Times admits, as you can see yourself, Russian missile upgrade outpaces Ukraine's Patriot defenses. Well, they talk about it in the present time, but reality is it has been outpaced for a long time now. But at least they noticed, and these are the guys who are the shills for the genocide, for all kinds of the war crimes against Russians. This is Financial Times, as you would expect from British elites. So they provide, this is all also fake data, as you can see yourself. It's the source, Ukrainian Air Force and Center for Information Resilience. So it's basically, they continue to spew the Goebbelsonian propaganda in terms of the shot down missiles, intercepted missiles. But as you can see yourself, even in ballistic missiles, they suddenly, even Ukrainians themselves admit that they don't intercept pretty much anything. So, but you know what, again, I looked up the Center for Informational Resilience. It's a bunch of the cretins who deal with the primarily human rights. They record all kinds of the false flags, and that's what you would expect from basically anybody who works for the UK government. I mean, they are, those people still think that they really matter. They don't. But even that's what is so indicative about it. They admit, well, they cannot intercept ballistic missiles. They cannot intercept now most of the cruise missiles. But in general, even when you have those guys who lied with the, straight faces to the media for years, and they, cretins that they are, which Western media are stuffed with, they bought it. I mean, even they admit there is something wrong with us, and well, we know what is wrong with you. It's the same what is wrong with French, for example, who still think that they're great, which they are not. Their missiles suck, their equipment sucks, their table of organizational equipment is that of the army, which still thinks that it's great, but it is also stuck in the early 2000s, and that pretty much ties in extremely well with what Vladimir Putin stated. and which I state non-stop for the second decade now. Europe is done. This is not that I'm saying, sitting here have schadenfreude. As I already stated, I have sympathy for European people. I do not want them to stand in lines to the soup kitchens or go completely desperate. No, I do. It's my civilization too. Even Patriarch Cyril of Russian Orthodox Church says that in the end Russia is the outgrowth of the European Christian civilization. This is the common root. The problem is those people who are in charge, they are morons, they are criminals, and they are ready to all kinds of the idiotic things, like obviously Mr. Macron, who ordered a French Navy, to stop this Shadow Fleet tanker, and guess what? Released it after 2 days because evidently there was conveyed something to the French side that if that continues, you know what, two can play the game, and it takes two to tango. And believe me, France doesn't want to tango with Russia. It will be wiped out if it comes down to the final solution of the conflict. And so, well, they released it. But in the end, the Russians have navy, which is much more powerful than French navy. Order of magnitude more powerful. And in the end, if that comes down to it, and you have all kinds of chihuahuas from the Baltic states to all kinds of Denmark and Sweden and Norway, who would try to stop this marine traffic, Russians have navy. They can institute convoys with the escort ships, naval ships, and they will be just doing this. And yeah, if they want to stop Russian navy ship, good luck to them. And this is what it is. And as always with France, it's all ended up not with the bank but with the whimper. And this is not just it. We already discussed that the situation with the oil, and well, what can I say? Look at this. Mr. Trump also doesn't understand that he lives in a completely new world. Turkey rejects US demand to abandon Russian gas. Well, yeah. And Turkey has rejected US demands to abandon Russian gas. Energy and Natural Resources Minister Alparslan Bayraktar has said Ankara will continue purchases from all available suppliers, including Moscow. Bayraktar dismissed the notion, stressing steady supplies were crucial for his country's energy security. Energy rules everything. Everything we do in our life is energy. Even I speaking to you now, it is expenditure of my energy. My organism consumes all those calories, and you need it for the functioning of the civilization. And here comes this revelation for Europe. It doesn't have any. That's the problem. In the United States, it is well-known fact. It doesn't have enough volumes or abilities to process even liquefied natural gas to cover those European necessities. And Russians know this. Some people do. Von der Leyen doesn't. And people like, Merz or Macron don't. Well, Macron, he's a sneaky fellow, maybe he does. But you know what? They can continue to pretend that they somehow are ready to fight Russians in war. No, they're not. They are paper tiger, as is the US militarily. So, what can I say? We saw everything what we needed to see in the last 3.5 years. And when you look attentively, so you have all kinds of those butthurt guys from the, The Economist. Vladimir Putin is waging a cheap, deniable, and calibrated effort to unsettle Europe that is carefully short out of outright war. NATO must resist. Well, again, this is British collection of imbeciles. So they, what can I say? These are just, as I repeat again, average Western journal from all kinds of publications of the legacy media is a war criminal. They support genocides, they support all kinds of things of this nature, and I think that at some point of time we will actually have them, properly, handled. And because Nuremberg 2.0 may be inevitable, but as I already stated, as Vladimir Putin states, you know what, you want to live and fade peacefully? Here's my olive branch. But there is no denial that Europe is fading and it will fade out. And that's nothing could be done about it. They killed themselves. And after that, whatever, there will be economic issues which will create the kind of the disorder which is happening with those demonstrations in France or whatever. It's Europeans' task. Let them deal with it. And I am on the record, if it would have been up to me, there would have been the Iron Curtain, not only in a cultural and value sense, but physically, just literally just not allow this filth which is generated by Europe and Europeans to pour into Russia. Because in the end, Russia, as one of the famous monks stated in the 15th century, there were two Romes, Russia is the third one, and there will be no fourth. Turns out that, you know what, you have to think about it. It had some, weight in those words, which are, half millennia old. And before I go, this is what it looks like in terms of the losses of armed forces of Ukraine. What is shown here is the fact that they really just abandoned. Nobody evacuates them except for Russians. And this is what is called the physical objective control. Then when you know that nobody is coming for them, so Russians will collect those corpses and they will check up, those boxes, so to speak. But this is how Ukrainians fight. They don't care. Russians allow them to actually collect their bodies, but no, for armed forces Ukraine, it is Mr. Zelensky and his curators. It is more important that they are checked in the box as missing in action, because in this case the bankrupt government of Ukraine will not pay any kind of benefits to those relatives who wouldn't even know what happened to their sons and husbands. And here is also the demonstration too of what is happening in terms of those Ukrainians who hate Russia. Look at this. This is the tattoo which is burnt, and it says about Russian naval ship, go F it yourself. So guess what? They are now removing it. You know why? Because this girl, evidently I think it's girl, she probably wants to go to Sheremetyevo airport to Moscow, and she wants to immigrate to Russia. And obviously she will be checked for all kinds of the relation to the Kiev regime and, anti-Russian activity. So this is what they do. This is how they remove it. And what can I say? It is what it is. Nothing could be done about it. And Europe signed its fate, basically, and set it in stone, completely on its own. And French, especially when you look at what they do, it's really laughable, but then again, I spoke about it, I believe, a few videos ago, that they have this ridiculous concept about French shield and French spear. Well, they evidently, the Vichy government, they consider them to be shield. So, well, it's Europe, and we are observing now, we're witnessing how it basically disintegrates as the civilizational core. And this is what I wanted to tell you guys today. And as always, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. And those who can afford, please support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee too. So what can I say? Congratulations with Friday. Thank God it is Friday. And have a nice weekend ahead of yourself. I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.